The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was older than human civilization. Its walls were made of black stone that came from a dead star. Its ceiling rose so high that clouds formed inside it. 12 massive chairs sat in a circle, each one holding a creature that had ruled the stars for thousands of years. Admiral David Cole stood in the center of this hall. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 30 years in Earth's military. He had fought in 3 wars. He had watched good men die, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Beside him stood Ambassador Lisa Park. She was younger than David, with short black hair and a calm face that never showed fear. She held a tablet containing treaties and trade agreements. Months of work, months of hope. Captain Tom Hayes stood behind them both. He was the youngest of the 3. A pilot who had volunteered for this mission because he believed in what it meant. First contact with alien life, a chance to join something bigger than Earth. The council members looked down at them like giants looking at insects. High Arbiter Nellos of the Veth species spoke first. He was thin and pale, with 4 arms and eyes that glowed soft blue. His voice echoed through the hall, like wind through a canyon. "So these are the humans," he said. "The creatures who took 10,000 years to reach the stars. The species that lives for less than a century." He made a sound that might have been laughter. "Tell me, Ambassador, do you even remember what your grandparents looked like? Or do your memories fade as quickly as your bodies?" Lisa kept her face calm. She had trained for this. She knew alien species might not understand humanity. She was ready to explain, to teach, to build bridges. "High Arbiter," she said, "we come to you with open hands. We offer friendship, trade, and mutual defense. Our lifespans may be short, but our achievements are not. We have built great cities. We have cured diseases. We have reached across the void of space to find you." Trade Minister Cora of the Bellin Collective leaned forward. She was covered in thick fur the color of rust. Her teeth were sharp and her voice was sharp too. "Your technology is primitive," she said. "Your ships are slow. Your weapons are weak. What could you possibly offer the collective that we do not already have?" Lisa opened her tablet. "We have resources. Rare minerals from our asteroid belt. Agricultural products that grow nowhere else. And we have something more valuable than all of these things. We have creativity. We have art and music and stories that span our entire history." Cora laughed. It was not a kind sound. "Art," she repeated. "Music. Stories. You offer us entertainment while we offer you survival. Do you understand your position, little human? You stand in this hall because we allow it. Your planet exists because we have not yet decided what to do with it." David felt his hands curl into fists. He forced them to relax. This was Lisa's mission. He was here only as protection. But every word these creatures spoke made his blood run hotter. Defense Commander Rin of the Torvik Empire had not spoken yet. He was the largest being in the room. His skin was like gray stone. His eyes were red as blood. When he finally opened his mouth, his voice was deep enough to shake the floor. "I have studied your species," he said. "I have watched your wars. You fight each other over small patches of dirt. You kill your own kind for resources you could share. You are violent and stupid and weak." He stood up from his chair. He was 3 times the size of a human. "My empire has conquered 400 worlds. We have broken species far older and stronger than yours. Your soldiers would run from our shadows. Your armies would fall in a single day." Tom Hayes stepped forward before he could stop himself. "Our soldiers don't run," he said. The council went silent. Every alien eye turned to the young captain. Rin smiled. It was a terrible thing to see. "The small one speaks," he said. "Does he wish to prove his courage? I could crush him with one hand. It would be amusing." David put his hand on Tom's shoulder and pulled him back. Lisa stepped forward again. Her voice remained steady, but David could see the tension in her shoulders. "We did not come here to fight," she said. "We came here to join you. The galaxy is vast. There is room for all of us. We ask only for a chance to prove ourselves. High Arbiter Nilos waved one of his 4 hands. The Council will vote, he said. The question is simple. Should humanity be granted membership in the Galactic Council? With all the rights and protections that membership provides, the vote took less than a minute. 12 voices spoke. 12 voices said no, but Nelos was not finished. There is a second matter, he said. Earth and its surrounding space have been designated an unclaimed resource zone. Any council species may send ships to collect materials from this area. The native population will not interfere. David felt his heart stop. You're declaring us property, he said. Nilos looked at him like a man looks at a bug on his floor. We are declaring you irrelevant, he said. You may keep your planet. For now. But the resources of your system belong to whoever is strong enough to take them. This is the way of the galaxy. This is the law of the Council. Lisa's tablet fell from her hands. It hit the floor with a sound that echoed through the silent hall. Tom was shaking with rage. David could feel his own anger burning inside him like fire, but he pushed it down. He locked it away. He would need it later. He stepped forward. He looked at each council member in turn. He wanted them to remember his face. We came here in peace, he said. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the hall. We offered you friendship. We offered you partnership. You gave us mockery and threats. He paused. He took a breath. Remember this moment. Remember that we tried. Nilos laughed again. Threats from an insect. How delightful. David turned and walked toward the door. Lisa and Tom followed him. Behind them, the council continued to laugh. They did not know what they had started. They did not understand what humans became when every other option was taken from them. They would learn. 3 months passed after the council's decision. On Earth, the leaders of every nation gathered in secret. They argued. They shouted. Some wanted to surrender before the aliens even arrived. Others wanted to fight with whatever weapons they had. General Amy Nash stood before them all and told them the truth. We cannot win a traditional war, she said. Their ships are bigger. Their weapons are stronger. Their experience is greater. She paused and looked at each leader in turn. But we can make them bleed. We can make this war so painful that they will wish they had left us alone. The world united for the first time in human history. Every factory began building ships. Every scientist began designing weapons. Every soldier began training for a war unlike any humanity had ever fought. Admiral Kevin Park led the military effort. He was Lisa Park's older brother, a naval commander who had spent his life studying tactics and strategy. He knew they could not match the aliens in strength, so he decided to match them in cleverness. We hide, he told his officers. We wait. We strike when they do not expect it. And then we disappear before they can strike back. Strategic Commander Rachel Stone designed the battle plans. She studied every piece of information they had about alien technology. She found weaknesses. She found gaps. She built strategies around them. The human fleet grew in secret. Small ships. Fast ships. Ships that could hide in asteroid fields and moon shadows. Ships loaded with weapons the aliens had never seen. Nuclear warheads attached to kinetic rounds. Electromagnetic pulse missiles that could shut down enemy systems. Drone swarms numbered in the millions, each one carrying enough explosives to crack a hull. Then the Torvik came. Defense Commander Rin sent 40 warships to Earth. He called it a collection fleet. He expected no resistance. He expected humans to bow down and accept their fate. He told his captains to take whatever resources they wanted and kill anyone who complained. His fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Mars. The red planet hung in the darkness, quiet and still. Earth was visible in the distance, a small blue dot that seemed too far away to matter. The Torvik commander was named Brel. He was young and eager to prove himself. He ordered his fleet to move forward in a standard formation. There was no need for caution. These were just humans. Scan the system, he said. Find their ships. Count their defenses. His sensor officer worked for several minutes. Then he looked up with confusion on his face. Sir, I am detecting no ships, no orbital platforms, nothing. Brel laughed. They have given up already. Cowards. Move the fleet toward Earth. We will begin collection immediately. The 40 ships moved forward. They passed the asteroid belt, a ring of rocks and ice that circled the sun between Mars and Jupiter. Their sensors showed nothing unusual. Just rocks. They were wrong. Admiral Kevin Park sat in the command chair of the UES Defiance. His ship was hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid, its systems running on minimal power. Around him, 300 other ships waited in similar hiding spots. "Steady," he said. "Let them pass the first marker." General Nash's voice came through his earpiece. She was on Earth, watching through long-range sensors. "They have passed the first marker. Second marker in 2 minutes." Kevin watched his screens. The Torvik ships moved with the confidence of predators who had never met anything that could hurt them. Their formation was loose. Their shields were at minimum power. They were not expecting a fight. "Second marker reached," Nash said. Kevin leaned forward. "All ships, attack." 300 human vessels exploded from the asteroid field. They came from every direction at once. Small and fast, they moved like a swarm of angry wasps around a group of slow bears. The first wave fired electromagnetic pulse missiles. Half of the Torvik fleet lost power in an instant. Their shields dropped. Their weapons went offline. Their ships drifted in the darkness, blind and helpless. The second wave fired kinetic rounds. Simple metal slugs accelerated to incredible speeds. They punched through alien hulls like needles through paper. The nuclear warheads inside them exploded seconds later. 8 Torvik ships died in the first minute. Commander Brel screamed orders at his crew. "Return fire! Target those ships!" But the human vessels were already gone. They had fired and scattered, disappearing back into the asteroid field. The Torvik weapons hit nothing but empty space. "Where are they?" Brel shouted. His sensor officer was shaking. "Everywhere, sir. They are everywhere." The drone swarms came next. Millions of tiny machines poured out of hidden launchers. Each one was no bigger than a human fist. Each one carried a small explosive charge. They moved too fast to track and too small to target. They covered the Torvik ships like metal insects. They crawled into exhaust ports and weapon barrels and sensor arrays. Then, they exploded. More ships died. More crews burned. Brel watched his fleet fall apart around him. He had never seen anything like this. These were supposed to be primitive creatures. These were supposed to be easy prey. "Fall back," he ordered. "All ships, retreat." But the humans were not finished. Captain Tom Hayes led a squadron of fighters directly at the Torvik flagship. His ship was small and fast, built for exactly this kind of attack. He dodged enemy fire with movements that should have been impossible. He pushed his ship harder than any machine should be pushed. "Target their engines," he said. "Don't let them run." His squadron fired as one. Their missiles struck the flagship's engines and tore them apart. The massive ship lurched and stopped moving. Admiral Kevin Park's voice came over the radio. "Flagship disabled. All ships, concentrate fire." Every human weapon turned toward Commander Brel's ship. Kinetic rounds and missiles and drones swarmed it from every direction. The shields held for 30 seconds. Then, they failed. The Torvik flagship broke apart in a ball of fire and metal. Brel had just enough time to send a final message to his homeworld. Then he died, along with everyone under his command. Of the 40 Torvik ships that came to conquer Earth, only 2 escaped. They limped back through hyperspace, their hulls cracked and their crews traumatized. General Nash sent a message that followed them. "We decline your collection offer. Send more ships if you want. We have plenty of ammunition." On Earth, people watched the battle on their screens. When the last Torvik ship fled, they cheered. They hugged each other and cried and laughed. They had won. Against all odds, they had won. But Kevin Park did not celebrate. He stood on his bridge and looked at the wreckage floating in space. He knew this was only the beginning. "They will come back," he said quietly. "And next time, they will bring more." He was right. The news of the Torvik defeat spread across the galaxy like fire. At first, no one believed it. A primitive species had destroyed a collection fleet? Impossible. There had to be some mistake. Then the two surviving ships returned home. Their captains told stories that made warriors go pale. They spoke of weapons that came from nowhere. Ships that vanished like ghosts. Drones that ate through metal like acid. Defense Commander Rin listened to these reports in silence. His face showed no emotion. But inside, something burned. Rage. Shame. A desire for revenge that grew stronger with every word. He went to the Galactic Council and demanded action. "These humans have insulted the Torvik Empire," he said. His voice filled the great hall like thunder. "They have killed our warriors. They have destroyed our ships. This cannot stand. This will not stand." High Arbiter Nelos nodded slowly. His blue eyes glowed brighter than usual. "I agree," he said. "We showed these creatures mercy. We gave them a chance to submit peacefully. They responded with violence." He looked around at the other council members. They must be taught their place. Trade Minister Cora of the Bellin Collective was less certain. "Perhaps we should negotiate," she said. "War is expensive. Resources would be better spent elsewhere." Rin turned on her with fury in his red eyes. "Negotiate? With insects? They understand only one language. And that is the language of force. I will bring the full power of the Torvik Empire down on their world. I will burn their cities. I will salt their fields. I will make their children's children remember what happens when you challenge your betters." The council debated for 3 days. In the end, they voted to form a coalition. The Torvik Empire would lead. The Veth would provide support ships. The Krell and the Osans would send their own fleets to join the attack. Together, they assembled over 2,000 warships. It was the largest military force seen in the galaxy for 500 years. Rin stood on the bridge of his new flagship and smiled. "Enough to glass 100 worlds," he said. "These humans will beg for death before I am finished with them." On Earth, the celebration was already over. Admiral Kevin Park had been right. The enemy was coming back. And this time, they were bringing an army. President James Miller addressed the United Nations. Every nation watched. Every human listened. 3 months ago, he said, we were told we were nothing. We were told our lives were too short to matter. We were told our technology was primitive and our species was weak. He paused and looked directly into the camera. They were wrong. He told them about the coalition. 2,000 ships, 4 species united against Earth, the largest attack force anyone had ever seen. "They think this will break us," Miller said. "They think we will surrender when we see their numbers. They do not understand what humans are made of." His voice grew stronger. "We are the species that climbed out of caves and reached for the stars. We are the species that survived ice ages and plagues and wars. We have faced extinction before. We are still here." He raised his hand. "They see our short lives as weakness. They are wrong. We burn brighter because we burn briefly. Every human soldier knows they fight not for themselves, but for generations yet unborn. Our children will remember what we do here. Their children will tell stories about this moment. 1,000 years from now, humanity will still speak of the day we refused to kneel." The speech lasted 20 minutes. When it was over, people did not cheer. They were too serious for that. They simply went back to work. Dr. Sarah Cole led the science division. She was Admiral David Cole's daughter, a physicist who had given up a comfortable university job to help save her species. She worked 20 hours a day designing new weapons. Her team tested prototype after prototype, pushing human technology beyond anything it had achieved before. "We can't match their power," she told her team, "so we have to be smarter. We have to be faster. We have to find ways to turn their strength against them." Lieutenant Mike Reed coordinated the tactical teams. He studied every battle in human history. He looked for patterns. He looked for tricks that had worked against superior forces. He combined ancient strategies with new technology. The Spartans held a pass against an army, he said. The Vietnamese defeated a superpower. The Finnish stopped an invasion with nothing but courage and winter. We have something all of those people had. We have desperation, and desperate people fight harder than anyone. Intelligence officer Anna Kim ran spy networks that reached across the galaxy. She had agents on 3 different alien worlds, sending back information about enemy movements and plans. She knew when the coalition fleet would launch. She knew their route. She knew their weaknesses. They think we're alone, she told General Nash. They think no one in the galaxy cares what happens to us. But I've been talking to species the Council has stepped on. There are others who hate them just as much as we do. They won't fight beside us. But they will share information. They will slow down supplies. They will do small things that add up to big problems. While the humans prepared, they also expanded. Mining colonies spread across the solar system. Every moon had a base. Every asteroid had a sensor station. Orbital defense platforms circled Earth like a ring of iron. The human fleet grew too. It was still smaller than the coalition force. But every ship was crewed by people who had everything to lose. Every soldier knew they were fighting for their families, their homes, their future. Admiral Kevin Park stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance. His sister Lisa was beside him. She had given up diplomacy. There was no one left to talk to. They're coming, she said quietly. Anna's network says they launch in 2 weeks. Kevin nodded. He looked at the screen showing Earth. Blue oceans. Green continents. White clouds. Everything he had ever loved was down there. Then we have 2 weeks to finish getting ready, he said. Lisa put her hand on his arm. Do you think we can win? Kevin was quiet for a long time. I don't know, he said finally. But I know we can make them pay a price they will never forget. And maybe that will be enough. Outside the ship, the stars glittered, cold and distant. Somewhere out there, 2,000 enemy ships were preparing to destroy everything humanity had ever built. Kevin turned away from the window. There was work to do. The war began on a Tuesday. 2,000 coalition ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of human territory. They came in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming, their weapons charged. Defense Commander Rin stood on his flagship and looked at the distant sun that warmed the human homeworld. Begin the advance, he ordered. Destroy everything in our path. The coalition expected the war to last weeks, perhaps a month at most. They had overwhelming numbers. They had superior technology. They had experience stretching back thousands of years. The war lasted 18 months. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not line up their ships for honorable battle. They did not follow the rules of war that the galaxy had agreed upon. They fought dirty. They fought mean. They fought like cornered animals with nothing left to lose. Captain Tom Hayes led hit-and-run raids behind enemy lines. His squadron would appear from nowhere, destroy a supply depot or a communication station, and vanish before reinforcements arrived. The enemy could never catch him. They could never predict where he would strike next. We're like mosquitoes, he told his pilots. 1 bite won't kill them, but 1,000 bites will drive them mad. Commander Julia West invented a tactic that terrified the coalition. She called it void walking. Her soldiers wore special suits that let them survive in space. During battles, while the enemy focused on human ships, her teams would launch themselves across the void and board enemy vessels. They would appear inside alien ships like ghosts. They would fight through corridors and take control of bridges. Sometimes they turned enemy weapons against their own fleet. Sometimes they simply destroyed everything they could before dying. The aliens had never seen anything like it. They started calling human soldiers demons. Pilot Danny Brooks became the most famous fighter ace in human history. He flew a small ship that he had modified himself. It was faster than anything else in space. He moved through battle like water through rocks, always finding gaps, always striking at weak points. By the end of the war, Danny had destroyed 47 enemy ships personally. Songs were written about him. Children played games pretending to be him. He never liked the attention. He just wanted to protect his home. The coalition pushed forward. They won battles. They destroyed human ships. They thought they were winning, but the humans kept fighting. Every time the coalition destroyed a base, humans built 2 more. Every time they killed a soldier, 3 more volunteered. Every time they thought the war was almost over, something happened to prove them wrong. General Amy Nash commanded the defense from a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. She slept 2 hours a night. She ate at her desk. She studied maps and reports and casualty lists until her eyes burned. "We're losing ships faster than we can build them," Admiral Kevin Park told her during one late-night meeting. "We can't keep this up forever." Nash nodded. "Then we need to end it," she said. "We need to hit them so hard that they can't recover. 1 strike. 1 target. Something that will break their whole operation." She pointed at a map of coalition space. Her finger landed on a space station far behind enemy lines. Nexus Station. The coalition's primary military hub. Every ship was supplied there. Every order came from there. Every plan was made there. "Take out Nexus," she said, "and their whole war falls apart." Kevin studied the map. "It's too far. Too well defended. We'd lose half our fleet just getting there." "Then we don't send the fleet," Nash said. "We send a small team. A few dozen soldiers. They infiltrate the station and destroy it from inside." Kevin shook his head. "That's suicide." "Probably," Nash agreed. "But if it works, we win the war. If it doesn't, we lose the team. We're going to lose a lot more than that if we keep fighting like this." The mission was called Operation Falling Star. Colonel Matt Davis led it. He chose his team carefully. Every soldier knew they probably would not come back. Every soldier volunteered anyway. They traveled for 3 weeks in a captured alien ship. They passed through checkpoints by using fake codes that Anna Kim's spies had stolen. They got close enough to Nexus Station to see its lights. The station was huge. Bigger than a city. Thousands of ships docked at its ports. Millions of tons of supplies filled its warehouses. The coalition believed it was impossible to attack. Matt Davis attacked it anyway. His team cut through an airlock on the station's lower level. They moved through maintenance tunnels that were too small for most aliens to use. They planted explosives at key points along the way. They fought when they had to and hid when they could. They reached the reactor core after 6 hours. Half the team was already dead. Matt had a wound in his side that bled through his bandages. He could barely stand, but he was standing in front of the machine that powered the entire station, and he had enough explosives to turn it into the biggest bomb the galaxy had ever seen. "Everyone out," he told his surviving soldiers. "Get to the ship. Get as far away as you can." His second in command, a young woman named Beth Wong, grabbed his arm. "What about you?" Matt smiled. It was a tired smile, but a real one. "Someone has to arm the bomb manually. The remote detonators won't work through all this shielding." He pushed her toward the door. "Go. Tell them we did our job." Beth wanted to argue. She wanted to stay, but she knew he was right. She took the others and ran. Matt waited until they were gone. Then he activated the explosives. The explosion was visible 3 systems away. Nexus Station became a new star for a brief, brilliant moment. When the light faded, nothing remained but dust and debris. On Earth, people watched the distant flash through telescopes. They did not know what it meant at first. Then the reports came in. Nexus was gone. The coalition supply lines had collapsed. Enemy ships were running out of fuel and ammunition. General Nash stood in her bunker and cried for the first time in 18 months. Tears of grief for Matt Davis and his team. Tears of relief that their sacrifice had meant something. The war was not over yet, but the tide had turned. The coalition was falling apart, and humanity was still standing. After Nexus Station fell, the coalition began to crumble. The Ossans withdrew first. Their leaders met in secret and decided the war was no longer worth fighting. They sent a quiet message to Earth asking for peace. General Nash accepted. 1 enemy down. The Krell followed a week later. Their fleet simply turned around and went home. No explanation. No apology. Just silence and departure. That left the Torvik and the Veth, the two species who had laughed loudest at humanity, the two species who had started this war. They refused to surrender. Their pride would not allow it. Defense Commander Rin gathered his remaining ships above Torvik Prime. He had started with over 1,000 vessels. Now he had 1,200, reinforced by the Veth. It was still a massive force, still enough to destroy humanity if they could deliver one crushing blow. They will come to us, Rin told High Arbiter Nelos. They have to. If they want to end this war, they must defeat us here. And we will be ready. He was right. Humanity was coming. Admiral Kevin Park led 800 ships toward Torvik Prime. It was everything humanity had left. Every vessel that could fly. Every soldier that could fight. They knew this was the final battle. One way or another, the war would end here. Ambassador Lisa Park traveled with the fleet on a diplomatic vessel. She carried peace terms in her pocket. Fair terms. Generous terms. Humanity did not want to conquer anyone. They just wanted to be left alone. Do you think they'll accept? Kevin asked her before the battle. Lisa shook her head. Not before we beat them. Pride is a powerful thing. They need to lose before they can admit they were wrong. The two fleets met in orbit above Torvik Prime. The alien homeworld hung below them. Gray and rocky. Covered in cities that had stood for 10,000 years. Billions of lives depended on what happened next. Rin sent a final message to the human fleet. Surrender now. Bow before the council. Perhaps we will show mercy. Kevin's response was simple. Come and take us. The battle began. Human ships moved in their usual patterns, fast and unpredictable. They struck at weak points and retreated before the enemy could respond. Drones swarmed the larger vessels. Kinetic rounds punched through shields and hulls. But the coalition had learned. They had adapted. Their formation was tighter now. Their weapons tracked faster. They had studied human tactics and built counters for them. The first hour was brutal. Human ships died by the dozen. Kevin watched his fleet shrink on the tactical display and felt cold fear in his chest. We can't keep this up, his tactical officer said. We don't have a choice, Kevin replied. Push harder. Find gaps. Make them pay for every ship they take from us. Captain Tom Hayes led his squadron directly at a Veth carrier. His ship was damaged. His shields were failing. He did not care. He fired everything he had and watched the carrier break apart. Then, a Torvik cruiser hit his ship from behind. Tom had just enough time to eject before his vessel exploded. He floated in space, watching the battle rage around him, hoping someone would pick him up, hoping he would survive to see how this ended. Commander Julia West led her Voidwalkers in one last boarding action. They targeted Rin's flagship itself. 50 soldiers launched across the void toward the massive vessel. Only 12 made it inside. They fought through corridors filled with enemy soldiers. They pushed toward the bridge, step by bloody step. Julia took 3 wounds before she fell. Her second-in-command carried her body forward until he fell too. None of them reached the bridge. But they damaged enough systems to slow the flagship down. They gave the fleet a chance. The battle raged for 2 days. 2 days of constant fighting. 2 days of death and fire and desperate courage. By the end, the coalition had lost 800 ships. Humanity had lost 400. The numbers were closer than anyone had expected. Rin's flagship was crippled but still fighting. High Arbiter Nelos's vessel had been destroyed. The remaining coalition ships were scattered and confused. Admiral Kevin Park made a decision. All ships, he said, focus fire on the enemy flagship. Everything we have. One target. 200 human vessels turned as one. They poured missiles and kinetic rounds and drones at Rin's ship. The shields held for 30 seconds. Then they cracked. Then they failed. The Torvik flagship broke apart in a ball of orange fire. Defense Commander Rin died at his post, screaming orders that no one was left to follow. The remaining coalition ships surrendered within the hour. Kevin slumped in his chair. His hands were shaking. His whole body was shaking. They had won. Against all odds, against everything the galaxy had thrown at them, they had won. Lisa's diplomatic vessel moved forward. She boarded the largest surviving Veth ship and met with their commanders. The talks lasted 6 hours. When they were over, she had a peace treaty. The terms were simple. The coalition would recognize humanity as equals. They would pay reparations for the attempted conquest. They would give humans seats on the Galactic Council. In return, humanity would not destroy Torvik Prime or pursue further revenge. A week later, the official signing took place in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. The same hall where humanity had been ridiculed. The same hall where they had been told they were nothing. Admiral David Cole stood where he had stood before. He was older now, more scars, more gray hair, but he was standing. The new High Arbiter of the Veth, a younger leader named Soreth, asked him a question that everyone wanted answered. How did you do it? How did you defeat us? David thought about all the soldiers who had died. Tom Hayes, recovered from space but still recovering from his wounds. Julia West, buried with honors on Earth. Matt Davis, whose body was never found. Thousands of others whose names he would never know. You measured us by our lifespan, he said finally. You saw that we live less than a century and decided we were weak. You were wrong. He paused. A species that knows death intimately does not fear it. We fight like we live, with everything we have, for as long as we have it. Every human soldier knew they might die. They fought anyway. Because some things are worth more than survival. Humanity took its seats on the council that day. They were never ridiculed again. Years later, when a new threat emerged from beyond known space, it was humanity that other species turned to for leadership. They remembered what humans had done. They remembered how humans had fought. General Amy Nash, now old and retired, received a message from the council asking for help. She smiled and sent her reply. Tell them we're coming, and tell them to stay out of our way.